first of all, I will say that there's this discipline that people need to have, and understanding what tech literacy is about. You know, some people that I've interacted with in Isiolo, they ask me, what are you going to gain with it?
Yeah, that's a very common question, by the way.
But they want to, they want to be those smart people like, what is Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah, Elon Musk.
Or they want to be at the tail end.
But they don't understand the steps, the small steps that you have to take.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Lead Series. I'm your host for the day, Thomas Ayuaki, and I'm joined by two illustrious guests that I'll let introduce themselves, and then we can go ahead.
Hi, how are you? My name is Marjan Hussein. I'm an artificial intelligence and machine learning engineer, and I'm so excited to be on this podcast, and I can't wait to share my insights.
Okay, it's also exciting to have you here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Castro Mbithi, and I am a software engineer at LD Talent. And I also do consultation with Arquict on different areas within their work and the impact that they're doing. Thanks, Tom, for having me.
Okay. So for purposes of just adding a bit of context, Castro is actually a repeat guest here. But because of just the excitement around the topic we're covering today, we wanted to make sure that he also gets a chance to share his opinions around the same. So one of the reasons why this particular episode is important is because Arquict, our parent organization, is actually in the process of realigning its digital skills agenda to the fourth industrial revolution, which basically entails a lot of leveraging on emerging technologies, which in this particular case is generative AI, and more specifically on how it can be used to be able to empower women and youth to be able to access enhanced levels of productivity as well as creativity. But before I dive too deep into the bigger picture, I wanted us to first discuss as experts within that specific space. I haven't done anything technically within that space. I've been in the program area for a very long time. But based on your level of expertise and also experience, I wanted us to just have a candid discussion around where we are as a country when it comes to generative AI, and maybe just some of the things we can be able to do to continue to, first of all, increase levels of literacy, and then also build on the talents that we have. So that's the agenda for the podcast today. But before, again, we go through all of that, we'll start by brief introductions. So we'll start with, let me make sure I pronounce your name correctly. Marjan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Marjan, tell us about what you do, and then we can build from there.
Okay, so I'll talk about two things that I like doing. I am a developer, artificial intelligence and machine learning engineer, and I'm also a passionate community advocate. So let me start with the community part because that is what I'm so passionate about. I am a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, a gold one. That means like I got there by going above and beyond serving my local community. And I was also a Google Developer Student Club leader. My institution, that goes without saying, I'm also part of the Google Developer community in Kenya. And progressing from the GDSC club, I got nominated to be a Google Developer Group's Nairobi organizer. And we're currently organizing the Google I/O Extended Nairobi. That will happen on 26th of July, 27. Yeah.
Are we getting invites or?
Do you guys want to attend?
Yeah.
I'll definitely add you to the attendees list.
Okay.
Or you guys want to volunteer?
Yeah, me, I am all in. I can volunteer.
Yeah, I've made it a priority to attend because this is the thing. I think when you work within the programming space, you tend to forget that as a tech expert, you need to also network here and there.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we work on this cocoon. And you know, there are little opportunities. I think I've told Castro this on very many occasions. There are very little opportunities for guys like us to kind of network and just see what's happening. So yeah, I'll be happy to attend. Yeah.
All right. So that is for the Google developer community. And for the Microsoft community, since I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, female Kenya lead, because I have a male counterpart lead, we do initiatives bringing together students from different universities, bringing together the Microsoft ADC initiative to the campus. Yeah, that is what I mostly focus when it comes to the community. And as a developer, I am a self-taught developer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a self-taught developer. I do machine learning. I started doing traditional machine learning methods, and now to the progressions of AI. Yes.
Okay. A very, very, very exciting line of work. So if I was to pin you down to maybe a specific aspect of your day-to-day job that you're most excited about, which one would you kind of lean towards?
Okay, I will lean to community. I'm a people's person. I love people-facing roles. I like engaging with people one-on-one or one-to-many. I would lean to community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And within the technological aspect?
Like my
Yeah, there's the community interfacing.
Okay.
Then now within just your technological competencies.
Okay. So in technological aspect, I love speaking about tech topics, and mostly I speak about AI and machine learning.
Okay.
I have recently done a lot of workshops centered around AI for the Google campaigns and Build with AI campaigns. And now we have a campaign with Microsoft Student Ambassador. It's called Session with AI. So host workshops, various workshops in various campuses in the local community, talking about the innovative AI that is coming, the GPT.
Yeah, that's very important. Castro, I believe you also do something along those lines.
I do.
So what's the most exciting thing about that part of interfacing?
For me, I can say the most exciting part is being able to grasp the new innovations that we have right now, and especially when it comes to Gen AI, and having the opportunity to actually integrate them in real-world problems and create solutions. I think that is very exciting because a few years ago, while I was doing some project with HTML, CSS, and some bit of JavaScript, I needed to learn fast artificial intelligence, and that is starting from data analytics, data science, going to machine learning and everything, so that at least I can integrate AI into a project. But at least right now, with the innovations that we have and the emerging trends in AI, and especially with Gen AI, at least I can integrate something, and it's just like plug and play.
Yeah.
It's exciting for me. And I can't wait to see where this innovation takes us in the coming years.
Yeah. I think that's the most exciting thing about generative AI, whether small or large models, is just trying to figure out, okay, what's the next 5 to 10 years going to look like, and then how do we plug in? So you guys seem to have done a lot. Any sort of challenges that you are challenges or lessons that you're learning as you continue to engage with the technology and the community?
I would say that technology is constantly evolving, and more so in the AI ecosystem.
Yeah.
There are a lot of frameworks being released each and every day. And as a developer, you have to keep on learning how to use and use and use. The challenge will be, it's like a constant hustle just to keep up with the trends. And I would say it's kind of thrilling and tiresome at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Castro? What are some of the challenges?
For me, I'll highlight, first I'll concur with Marjan. You need to keep on learning. There's no day, there's no time you'll just sit down and then learn a language or learn a model or learn a framework, and that will be all. Tomorrow you'll wake up and you have new changes, new updates to all these platforms and all these innovations. So you have to keep on learning and keeping yourself up to date with any technology that comes up. Otherwise, you'll be extinct like the dinosaurs.
Yeah. And by the way, I know what you're referencing, and by the way, Castro, even for me, I struggle a lot with I struggle a lot with just trying to keep up with the technology. But maybe just from your points of view, for somebody who's trying to venture into a career in tech, especially within content development or generative AI, what's the best way to go about just continue capacity building themselves? Because the challenge that we are facing, especially being within the ICT for development space, is that there's a lot of interest, but now just trying to kind of merge that with study habits or just just general interest. That's where people struggle a little bit. So how do you keep track of what's happening and capacity build yourself continuously?
First of all, I'd say you have to be curious, right? You have to be in the know of what is being released every week or every month. Especially Google is releasing these new AI capabilities in a monthly basis right now.
Yeah.
And what I'd say is I go to events and I meet new people. I meet new people with different mindset and diverse opinions about what is going on. And just to learn from them. That is what I do. And also I have friends, a lot of friends who are into AI. So what we do is set aside specific days like Saturdays, and we come together and just learn together. Yeah. So if I'm talking to someone who is interested into getting into the AI space and is just curious about it and doesn't know how to maneuver their way into it, I'd say there are challenges. It's never that easy. What you have to do is be persistent and have resilience and have that mindset of continuous adaptability.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Continuous adaptability. That's important. How about you, Castro?
For me, I can say how I keep myself posted about the new changes or the new updates to AI is first, I subscribe and always turn my notifications on YouTube. OpenAI, Google, I ensure that whenever they announce something, I have a notification on my phone that tells me this is happening right now, this event is happening right now. Then again, we have events that either locally or international. And for me, I can say most of the events that I attend international, because I am within the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador space, we have the MSP Unite event. And then with these events, you get speakers who talk about what is happening right now. You understand? So any new change, anything that is currently on the market, they announce it there, and you're able to follow up and get to understand more about what that thing entails. And I'm just going to imagine if I was someone who had cocooned themselves back there in the village and I'm not following anything, I wouldn't know anything that is happening right now. So I can say events and always ensuring that I follow up on what is happening on YouTube, on social media. Yeah, you get to hear all the announcements, and you at least you get to use these frameworks or these models. Once they are released, tomorrow you have them.
Yeah, and I think the two of you have brought up very key points around the fact that you need to continuously expose yourself. I think gone are the days where you'd sit with, you remember those big JavaScript books where you'd study them for almost half a semester. And just from there, build your knowledge around coding and that's it. So you have to continuously attend events, network with people. Yeah, and I think those are some of the things that people are missing out on. Even while you were in school, I don't think at any point you felt that maybe, what you're learning in class will not be enough, that you needed to kind of take that step forward and engage with all of these different ecosystems that have been developed. Yeah. So, just based on your experience, your experience within the technological space and also community interfacing, how are you seeing generative AI impacting, your spaces, whether it's through your job or entrepreneurial ventures? How are you seeing AI kind of influencing people who are working around you?
Okay, so AI is making strides in digital innovations in Kenya. For example, the agriculture industry, a lot of AI innovations are being discovered into, for instance, things like crop yields or weather condition prediction or soil conditions. And also in the healthcare sector, there are a lot of AI systems and innovations that help doctors to diagnose a lot of patients' conditions. Also, a lot of startups in Kenya are using generative AI to improve their solutions.
Okay. And Castro?
Kindly repeat the question again.
Yeah, so what I was asking is, how are you seeing AI impact, some of the workspaces that you're exposed to? Yeah, so like guys that you're working with, whether it's within technology, she has mentioned healthcare and agriculture, which again is very, very important because I'm seeing a lot of large-scale farmers kind of integrate AI into their socioeconomic practice. So from your point of view, how are you seeing it impact maybe your surroundings as well?
So I'll begin with myself, how it's impacting my work. So a few years ago, we were using Stack Overflow as engineers to kind of like find solutions to the problems that we encounter. And right now, you just have to like go to ChatGPT or Gemini or any other LLM platform that exists, and then from the problem you're encountering within your project, you try to resolve that by asking it, and then if you have a paid version, of course, you'll get very fast response, and you can feed in all the information you have, and it's going like you won't take that much time. So it's like reducing development time. And then when it comes to now the other side, where we are not talking about research now, it's integrating the AI with your project. I can say in a way it's making strides, as Marjan has said. You find that it's been integrated within healthcare systems, within education systems, and also within even the entertainment applications that we have. And right now, when we talk about the entrepreneur landscape, we are having startups that are being brought up from ground using generative AI. And we might say that AI is kind of like killing some jobs, but at the same time, I can also say that with AI, we have new skills that are popping up. So you find that for you to be able to integrate Gen AI with your project, you need to understand how to integrate the OpenAI system within your project. And that is a skill that you need to have as a software engineer, as a software developer. So yes, this job has been killed, but more jobs have been created and more startups have been created. And when you talk about startups being created, that means we are going to have more jobs being created by the startups. So I can say that's all I can say about.
Yeah. So both of you have brought out a very important point, which is around how people are viewing, how the country is viewing generative AI. And I wanted to ask you, just to make sure that I get a specific response from you guys. It doesn't have to be the correct answer, but I feel as if being guys that you're exposed to that space, you have some unique perspective around it. Where do you think we are at with generative AI? Well, what's the public perception, just based on your own experience?
I would say we're in a personal perspective. I would say we're in a good place because the people I've interacted with, for example, Castro, and the people I meet in the community, I say we're in a really good place because the people I interact with mostly in events, they talk about the things that are trending. Right? Yeah, but I don't know if it's because I'm in Nairobi or what, but that is what
that's also a big factor because I'll piggyback to an experience I had. I told you I went to speak at was it UON on their career fair week, and that was in last year. Yeah, and when it came to generative AI related questions, because at the front row, I think there are a few professors who I think are struggling to catch up with the technological landscape. I almost had to start from a defensive point of view, by explaining to them that, look, it's not here to take your jobs, despite of what you've had. There are actually applications that can be able to help you enhance your productivity and creativity. So are you getting, outside of definitely your own ecosystems, are you getting that same sort of sentiment where the public knowledge that's out there, maybe it's not refined enough around the opportunities it presents, rather than maybe some of the dangers that it can come with? Because I've been facing that for a long time. I don't know if you guys are experiencing something similar.
Well, in my space, when it was like starting, let's say around let me just say around 2021 after COVID, that is when people are talking a lot about the generative AI things. And so a lot of people are saying that this thing is going to take our jobs and things. So every speaker that would come to our session, like there was always that one person who would raise their hands and, will this thing not take our job? Like that question has been asked a million times, and there's various perspectives of it won't take your job, but it will make your job easier. You guys need to improve your AI literacy and things. But as time is moving, people are coming to understand that it's just here to make our work easier rather than it replace us.
Yeah. How about you, Castro? Have you faced such hostile crowds in your time interfacing with the public?
Yeah, I can say I have. And I think before I even mention about the public that I interact with, let me mention about the public that is on social media. First things first, when the media platforms we have in Kenya, when they post about AI, on the comments section, someone is asking, what is AI? What is this and that? There are those who already know what AI is. Of course, they'll respond. And then we have now the guys who will be like, this thing, won't it take our jobs away? And then other guys will just follow the conversation. Someone will respond and ask this person. We had a calculator that was innovated and it was brought to us a few years back. Does it mean that with the calculator, if you as a mathematician, like you have lost your job? No, it's just here to help you. And whatever job is going to it's going to take away from you, it's always going to create another opportunity. So it's up to you to learn. And I think we mentioned that you learn and keep yourself up to date with the emerging trends in AI. And then talking about guys who are back there at the village, someone who comes from Machakos Storm, you know that, and back there at the village,
Machakos is a village these days.
No, I come from the village.
Oh,
the village there.
Okay.
So I can count for you the guys that I know who know what AI is and what even ChatGPT is. Very few people know it, and even if you introduce it to them, they'll forget about ChatGPT the next 3 hours. They can't tell where you, like, which URL you showed them, how to question it, and how to even use it. You know, the good thing with us guys who are in tech is a product will come, no one will give you a manual, but you'll understand it. But the guys back there, you need to keep on instilling the knowledge and showing them how to use it. I can say it's a balance, but we still need to put in more effort so that at least everyone knows about these things and how they can use them to kind of like reduce the loads of work that they have. Just automate things and ensure that you focus your energy more on something else.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you guys about which service provider you'd kind of advise somebody to start with. But before we get there, you mentioned something around the literacy levels, especially at some of our more informal settlements. What do you think we need to do differently? Because clearly there's a gap between those who are knowledgeable and maybe those who are interested, but are not quite sure as to what steps they need to take to kind of get themselves to that level. Because I think we can all agree here that generative AI's main priority is literacy levels. Obviously, tech talents are very, very important. That's why you guys are here. But what they would want to achieve is a worldwide sort of literacy level where everybody can be able, regardless of whether now you're in the health space, agriculture, MSME space, you can be able to leverage on it to be able to get specific outputs that benefit your socioeconomic activity. So, what do you think we need to do different to kind of elevate the entire population towards that space?
Okay. So as much as there are commendable efforts in trying to improve AI literacy around the local communities, what I'd say in people in underserved areas, for example, I come from Isiolo, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, I come from Isiolo. So what I think...
How far is the sorry, I'm interrupting you.
It's 4 hours from here.
4 hours from here?
Yeah. I don't know why people think
Tom
Isiolo
Ford
is
was
that
from-
far.
You've never been to Isiolo?
Have you?
I've been to Isiolo, Moyale.
Is it so? From here, what's the closest town that I think you can? Isiolo.
No.
This is past Meru. Do you pass by Meru?
You don't, but they border.
They border.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the farthest I've reached is those sides of Meru, and then somebody was telling me then that Isiolo is not that far from.
Yeah, Isiolo is next to from here. Yeah.
So yeah, you're talking about people from Isiolo. How do you get them on board now? Start using AI as well.
Okay. Now, first of all, I will say that there's this discipline that people need to have, and understanding what tech literacy is about. You know, some people that I've interacted with in Isiolo, they ask me, what are you going to gain with it?
Yeah, that's a very common question, by the way.
Yeah, but they want to, they want to be those smart people like, what is Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah, Elon Musk.
Well, they want to be at the tail end.
Yeah, but they don't understand the steps, the small steps that you have to take. Also, there's a problem with internet connectivity.
Yeah,
in those areas, and I think public sectors or even the government sectors can help with that. And also, these organizations can come to our places, and there are multiple organizations trying to do that to enable the youth and women to learn. But at the same time, it's kind of a hustle.
It's progressing, but slowly.
Yeah, slowly. You can find people like me. Who are from Isiolo, we go back to the community and try to teach them, but it's slow progression. It's slow progression.
Yeah. And you mentioned something by there that I also come across from time to time. I think with technology, there's this culture around what is it going to do for me now? If you teach me for like an hour or two, does it translate, or does it immediately translate to money at the end of I like the thinking around just government also trying to come in. I know we'll discuss it a little bit later in the podcast, but again, infrastructure is very, very important, as I'm sure Castro you'd agree. It's important that at least they start looking at internet penetration very, very seriously, because there are some stats that are out there. I think that state that Kenya's internet penetration is at 86%. Do you believe that's true? 86% of the country is connected to the internet. Do you think that's true, Castro?
I can say maybe in the metropolitan areas, but when you go to the remote areas, there is nothing there. We still have a long way to go.
Struggling.
We still have a long way to go.
How about Isiolo? Do you think that percentage reflects the country's internet penetration?
I come from Isiolo town, the center. So there's good amount of internet connectivity compared to inside Isiolo. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because for me, I come from Busia, and I'll tell you point blank, the internet connection is a problem. It's a problem. Outside of the town, which is not that big, by the way, it's almost like a third of Nairobi, the Nairobi township. Internet is a big issue. So yeah, I think infrastructure is something that they really have to look at critically. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very difficult to kind of, just enhance those levels. So outside of infrastructure, I don't know, Castro, if there's anything you'd like to see being done differently, whether it's within the space of education or awareness creation. What are some of the things maybe you'd like to highlight?
I think Marjan has answered almost with almost everything that I want to say. But I can add by saying we need the government to kind of create policies or some regulations that monitor or give the direction on how AI can be used, because I feel like at some point people might misuse it. And so I feel like the government can kind of direct and also offer the way forward, because you understand that for any new organizations or existing organizations to do whatever they want to do, the government is like the watchdog now. They are watching what you're doing. So I feel like they can just control it and ensure that it's kind of like spread across all communities and everybody understands we have something. Just the way we used to have Magazeti and KBC announcing things kitambo. So we need to have like the government now just ensuring that they don't stop. We have a new kid in town. The kid is AI. This is what he does, and blah blah blah. Like, let's ensure that at least people know AI.
Yeah, and I've always kind of pushed towards that. Just the number one champion of generative AI has to be the national government. Everything else that comes after that, whether it's ICT for development organizations like Acquict here, kind of championing awareness creation and capacity building, or even industry experts such as yourself. Now, going back to the community to also kind of just share your experience, it has to start from them, because once they kind of champion it at that level, then they can look for partners, individuals and entities such as ourselves here, to kind of now help them in just creating the message out there, because some of the objectives that they have, some of the expectations that they have, especially when you go into these stakeholder meetings, is that they're looking at generative AI as the new M-Pesa, which is a very ambitious statement, given the fact that we are still not seeing them come to the front with this championing what it's trying to do. But we don't want to bash them too much to make it a political podcast, but their role is clear, as you guys have indicated, and hopefully they can be able to go through that. So we've talked about what the government can do. What about the private and development sector? How do they also come in and kind of build on what's happening? You've talked about your work with Microsoft. Microsoft and Google as well. Castro have also known you to really work closely with them in kind of leading and mentoring the next generation. So how can they enhance that to be able to reach to a larger audience?
Okay, I would like to commend Microsoft ADC for what they're currently doing right now in improving the AI literacy across Kenyan community and East African community. But first of all, improving AI literacy, what they're trying to do is improve reviewing the curriculums in the Kenyan universities.
Wow.
As you already know, the syllabus that we're doing right now is a little bit outdated, right?
Yeah, to put it kindly.
Yes. Yeah. So what they are doing is going to the universities and improving the curriculums that students are studying. Also, they have initiatives. For example, they call it campus tours. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. Participated in even a few of them.
Which universities?
I think when they did, was it KU?
Yeah.
I think they did KU and JKUAT. I'm forgetting which year.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
They also came to my university and had important talks to the students, what programs they have for the students and what programs they have for the faculty representatives.
Yeah.
And what amazed me is this program that they call faculty immersion programs, where they upskill the lecturers on the trending things. For example, data structures and algorithms is very important in your software development journey. And now they are upskilling the lecturers to come and teach us as students. I mean, to teach students the importance of DSA and teach it properly rather than how it's being taught right now in schools. Yeah. I've done DSA in school, but let me say, like, what they were teaching is more theoretical than the practical aspect.
Yeah. That's correct.
So the lecturer was like, you guys can code with whatever language you want, but just so you know, I need you guys to understand what are trees, what are graphs, but I need to know how to write the code.
Technically,
yeah. He knows Java, he knows JavaScript, he knows Python. We need to come together and write those scripts or. Yeah. I used to say script a lot because I'm in Python. Those programming languages. That is what Microsoft is trying to do.
Yeah, which is very important. Some of us who are a little bit older, I think, learned how to design websites on pieces of paper. So by the time you are turning in your project, I think was at the end of the semester. By the project that I turned in, for almost like a month, we were just designing it on piece of paper. So before you even got into the coding sessions, which you had to learn outside school. Yeah, it's a bit tricky, but I'm sure with some of the work, I engaged with them. I think it was either JQuat or KU, and we've worked. Here most of the work we do with Microsoft is within TSI and EMI, but with ADC, I engaged with them like 2 or 3 times, especially when they're either JQuat or KU. My memory is kind of failing me at this point, but yeah, I also appreciate the work that they've done as well. I don't know if, Castro, you have, outside of maybe the work that Microsoft is doing, any other key players within the private sector you'd like to kind of...
I think what I can say is, because as you understand, AI runs on servers. So first, let me acknowledge the fact that Marjan has mentioned everything, like everything.
Yeah.
So let me just put one point across, and let me talk about AI. It needs to run on servers, and I feel like I think it's something that has been happened last week or last week, but when the president was in the US, there was this thing of there's going to be a big data center being launched in Kenya. So to cut the long story short, those are the things we expect. Like Microsoft is doing it, and I hope other organizations can also do the same. Like we have data centers, and they also create opportunities for the guys we have here in Kenya, because I know if a data center is coming to Kenya, it doesn't mean that they're going to come with like 100% employees from the US.
No, definitely.
You have to employ the locals here, and that means me and Marjan will be employed. That means any other person out there will be employed. So those are the things that I can say private sector and the other companies that feel like they have the energy and they can input their finances and funds into these ideas. So are the things I can say they can do to ensure that AI keeps going.
Okay. So we highlighted education. We've talked about infrastructure. I think that's very, very important. But now in terms of awareness creation, and think of the small MSME, the MSME space, Okina Mama Mboga, or to Akinyozi, all of these different groups. How do we get to them with this technology? And don't worry, there's no right or wrong answer, just from your own experience. If you talked about going back to Isiolo to kind of just share with them, have you found what you do to be effective? And if not, maybe what do you think we can be able to change around that sort of space? Because I've tried as well. I've tried with teachers, especially from the village that I'm from. And I've succeeded to some point. They're using it well enough. But now kind of having them, cascade it to students is where we are trying to figure it out.
So how are we trying to make them...
how do we bring in out the rest of the population?
Okay, what I can say is, for example, this organization is trying to reach out to young women, right? And empower them.
Yeah.
So what I can say is there are a lot of organizations out there that are trying to bring people to up to date. And what can be done differently is... I don't know what to say about that, but what I can just say that I acknowledge the presence of commendable organizations that are trying to...
Do you feel them coming together, for example, can be able to, just to be able to increase the reach, can coming together be able to help in creating awareness to a bigger population?
Yes, that can happen. But what I've just thought when you've said them coming together is, let's say he can have his organizations that focus on cybersecurity alone, I can have my organization that focus on UI alone. So maybe you and I can come together and go back to Isiolo or Busia or Machakos and use friendly language, right? That is very important when you're talking to beginner level, so that you don't scare them. We can come together and bring them up to date
and create awareness. That's true.
Yeah. Because again, just based on the experience that we've had, it's not just a tech community alone that can be able to kind of create impact. So in the case of Isiolo, for example, one of the first things we'll do is go to the community, try and source out leaders, in the form of women and youth representatives, and then figure out through their insight and knowledge how we can be able to communicate this. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. You can imagine going to a town like Budalangi and starting to explain to them, this is how large models are.
Yeah.
They'll chase you out. So yeah, the importance of collaborating, and not just collaborating at the metropolitan or high level, but making sure that you also involve the community. I think that's very, very important. Yeah. So we'll take a short break and then we'll come and finalize the rest of the episode. But thank you for still staying with us, and I hope you're learning as much as you can. So I know we've talked a lot about, just the capabilities of generative AI and how it can be able to impact the society at large. But there's been calls for responsible use of artificial intelligence. Could you just take us through what that entails and maybe what we can be able to do individually to kind of stick within that sort of framework?
Okay. So responsible AI refers to using AI in a way that is ethical, but at the same time minimizing the potential harm that it can cause.
Yes.
So AI has to be transparent in making decisions. So a while back, the AI systems wasn't so transparent in how it was making decisions. But as for now, as new innovations are coming in, companies like Microsoft or Google are releasing framework toolkits that help developers and users understand how and why the AI made certain decisions.
Oh, okay.
All right. So in use case such as a bank, and we have AI system there, and there's credit scoring or even loan giving. So these systems tend to get your data and who you are, like where you're from, and sometimes we had issues of those AI systems not allowing someone to be given a loan because of, for example, maybe their ethnicity or their gender, or that is being biased.
Oh,
right?
yeah, definitely.
That is bad. So new AI systems that, with the responsible AI coming in, they have minimized the biasness, so people can get loans despite them being a different race or gender or ethnicity. And even in job applications, right? Many of these companies utilize AI to scan their resumes and get the user details, the applicant details. So they remove biasness. That is, when I say they, I'm talking about responsible AI. So let me just say responsible AI helps minimize the biasness when it comes to candidate selections in job applications. Okay, and ethical consideration or even data privacy. For example, the government. Let me give an example of government of Kenya. They are investing in AI innovations, but at the same time they have data privacy acts that are being released.
Yeah, that's kind of okay.
Yes. So the data that we have in the government, they are private, right? They are sensitive. Yeah. So this AI systems, these responsible AI systems that are put in place, their job is to minimize putting out the sensitive, personal, identifiable information out to the public. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so you mentioned something that's very, very key around just training AI to be able to kind of still give those variables in terms of maybe the results that it's sharing, especially within a job setup, but also maybe not do that within, you talked about tribal or racial lines, things along those lines. So I just want to make sure I understand that point of view from a layman's angle. So what is essentially happening is that these models are being trained to kind of still give the same sort of variables when it comes to results, especially like in an employment line, but not necessarily do that using tribal or racial sort of. So that's what you mean when you talk of, responsible AI being used to still deliver the same sort of results, but without any sort of biasness.
Yes. Let me give a good example so that you understand. For example, let's use Twitter, right? Or even Instagram. People comment on posts. These frameworks, toolkits. They're sometimes called content moderator toolkit. What they do, they perform something called sentiment analysis on those comments. And whether they are positive or negative, they hide it from the public. If it's negative or if something that they don't want the local community to, to
engage with.
Yeah, those negative comments. So borderline, what I'm trying to say is the toolkit are what are trying to minimize the biasness.
Okay. Then how about just content generation, especially within the entertainment industry? There's been a lot of calls from some of the major distribution labels around the fact that maybe their music is being altered to kind of serve selfish purposes out there. And AI is being used as the main tool to kind of do that. So are there any sort of regulations that are being put to kind of protect intellectual property, especially within content generation, whether it's music, film, photography, and so on and so forth?
All right. I can say every country has their own local regulations about intellectual property rights. And what they kind of do, for example, those big companies is mix and match their toolkits and frameworks together with the local regulations. So something like content generation and with intellectual property rights, what I can say is not really train the models to understand those kind of things. But I can say there's copyright issues. I think that is more of a user. For example, I have my own lyrics that I don't want Castro to steal, So what I can say is maybe I monitor my own content rather than responsible AI coming in. I think that is my thought on that. Yeah.
Or you can have there was a time I had posted a video on YouTube and it had music from, I don't know, I can't remember, but it's an artist from the US. Then after, I think 20 minutes, I get an email that this video has been flagged because you have used music from somebody and they have, your video has been hidden. So we can have the same with AI whereby as an artist, as someone who has content or something I've created, if AI tries to use it, you have some detectors that can alert you, AI is using your content. Ask OpenAI to pay you for this. Ask Gemini or Google to pay you for this. So I feel like we can have such things because I think at the beginning stage, these AI companies were kind of just using data without regulating and without consulting or asking the owner. But right now, I think we have some cases in court, and I'm hopeful the owners of the content have the right to be paid because it's their content that is being used.
Yeah, because I saw a very recent case. I think when ChatGPT was releasing the 4.0 model. And when they're discussing around, when they're showcasing the speech to, forgetting the exact model. Yeah, the speech model, they used a voice that was very similar to a very famous actress. And they are now in court, actually. Yeah, so I don't know, it's this weird space, especially around content generation. I love the capabilities that it has because for some of us who are within content development, especially with assets in photography and videography, it's really helping a lot in designing just amazing content around that space. But I think just to kind of piggyback on the need for that to be regulated, I think that aspect needs to also be monitored a little bit. Yeah, otherwise, some of the more innocent users like us, us when it generates, will stand there in amazement and say, okay, definitely I'm using that. But if there are similarities to maybe what somebody has put out there, then maybe that's another aspect that needs to be looked at. But again, a very insightful part of the discussion. I think what we are learning is that there's need for some level of regulation at whatever level, which I'm sure you guys are confident will head towards a space where there's a balanced approach with everything that's being provided. So I wanted to now focus on your journey. It seems you've done quite a lot. based on where you came from. I know we had the discussion of outside the studio itself, but when you look at your journey all the way from your early education to where you are now, what are some of the challenges maybe that you faced, and how have they shaped your mindset as a young woman within the technological space now?
Okay. So in my journey from when I started teaching myself, dipping into tech ecosystem.
Doing a deep dive into just technology, huh?
And that is order of adjectives. Anyway, so when I started my journey, I've faced a lot of challenges, and they have been instrumental into shaping my mindset as an IT professional. And what I can say is that these challenges have made me, they have given me a growth mindset, right?
Yeah.
And curious to learn the new things that are trending, and also the adaptability mindset. Yeah, I've been in a position where I went for an internship, and the only role that was there open is a Flutter developer role, and I was not good at Flutter. I actually knew nothing about Flutter. I just knew that it's you use it for cross-platform development, and what I had to do is learn Flutter in about 3 weeks. And then I start contributing to the product that they are building
a short
there.
period of time.
Yeah, it's short. I spent a lot of time learning, but it gave me a growth mindset. Yeah, and that is what I can say.
So growth, adaptability. Yeah, I think
continuous learning.
Yeah. That's very important. I'm impressed that you learned all of that within 3 weeks. But that's the funny thing with internships, by the way, Castro. I don't know if you've experienced the same thing. Even for
I've
me,
experienced the same. And I think you remember last year when I was an intern, I went to the organization hoping that I'll work as either a front-end developer or a back-end developer. But I got in as a product management intern. The good thing is at least I had a passion for that. And I don't know whether I've ever shared this with you, Tom, but I aspired to become a product manager, technical product manager in the coming years. So I went there knowing that I'd be doing this and that, and then I got into a different division, but it was okay. And I can share just quickly, I have a friend who was in Kibabi, and then they got an internship at JKIA. So he's doing hardware and software, but then he goes there and he's told he'll be feeding data into Microsoft Excel. So he went there the first day, the second day, and then he resigned. And then the good thing is he followed his dream and he got a new internship with the company Westlands that does CCTV installations. It's an international company. So that is what he's doing up to date. And he cleared fourth year in 2015. So like that thing of following your dream and just saying yes or no to what you feel like is not going to benefit you.
But there's also a lot to be said about just being able to adapt as well. Because even for me, I think when this was a long time ago, maybe in 2011, the first internship I had was at the then CCK. These days it's known as CAK. And when I went there, I was the department was something alongside the lines of cyber tracking and security policies here and there. So what it entails was to sit in front of a machine and basically track traffic and maybe, any sort of variables that will come as a result of maybe security threats or something of that sort. I've never been a fan of cybersecurity. I've never even shown any sort of interest. This was before I went into that sort of space. But yeah, I learned a lot. It took me a lot of time to kind of get into that space. And so I used to study like almost, when guys were going to sleep at 9, I would study all the way to like 1 or 2 a.m. just to be in a position to kind of contribute towards maybe something that they should be doing different. So yeah, I think some of the points you guys have raised in terms of just staying strong, knowing what you want, but also being able to adapt, I think is very, very important, especially in a space that's becoming increasingly competitive. So with that being said, when you look back at your journey and some of the things that you've achieved within, how many years has it been? Have you been in the tech space so far?
I'm heading to 5, but it's 4.
4 years.
Yeah.
Castro?
I can say it's almost, let's say 8 years.
8 years.
Because I got into Arquict Cisco IT Essentials in 2014, and then today is 2024. But now deep tech, I got into deep tech in 2016. So
2016.
I don't know whether to say 8 years or 7 years. Yeah.
So
but now applying tech, I can say it's 4 years or 5 years.
4 years. Yeah. Hey, okay. That shows how old I am, because this is my 11th, I think, my 11th or 12th year. But anyway, we'll not highlight that in the podcast. But so when the two of you look at what you've achieved within those 4 years, and just how tough and interesting the journey has been, what would you advise maybe somebody who's looking to pursue a career in tech, given what AI has been able to do in terms of just shifting the job and entrepreneurial space within technology in such a short period of time? What advice would you give that lady in Isiolo or the guy in Machakos on how best they can be able to approach that side?
Okay, I'll advise in 2 viewpoints. The first one, I'll talk about when you are already in tech and or maybe a beginner. And for example, you're trying to build something and it's not working, or even the code is, even the first notebook cell is not running. I mean, it's so frustrating, and you just feel like you're not good enough, and maybe tech is not for you. I'm talking to young women out there. Maybe you can feel like tech is for men, it's a boys club or something, but it's not. It has never been, and it will never will.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So what you do is you just breathe. Nothing is as easy as you think. And if it was easy, then everybody would have been doing it. So tech needs a diverse mindset, and your unique perspective is what is needed in the tech industry. So just believe in yourself. If it doesn't work, look for someone who is good at it, or even just go read the documentation and do your own research, take a break, and come back and review your code. And for people who are in their early careers and trying to progress, for example, from one space to another or one department to another, and maybe you're not getting a job, like you're trying to apply for multiple jobs and you're receiving rejections. And maybe, for example, you're telling yourself, why are these people not hiring me as even as a CEO, because I think I'm good enough? No, you don't cross the river by jumping to the other end. You step on small stones and get to the other side of the river.
That's very profound.
Yeah, so believe in yourself, take small steps, and you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, that's very, very profound, by the way.
Great advice.
Yeah. The river and stones thing, I think, that's the one for me. I feel as if that needs to be screamed across the entire socioeconomic landscape, because this Gen Z generation feel as if, that's the position that I want, that job, that project lead, that product manager. But some of the steps that you guys are taking, whether it's 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 years, what people don't realize is that it's all building towards that dream job that you want to get. So that's very insightful. Thank you for that. Castro, how about the guy from Machakos, from Kitui, who is interested in pursuing a career in IT? What advice would you give?
Yeah, what I can say is be resilient. Be someone who is persistent in whatever they do, and always ensure that you persevere in anything that you do, because most people, like Marjan has mentioned, you join tech thinking, I'll do languages, the first language, the second language, and then tomorrow I'll be having a job. But it's not that easy. Like, even we have YouTube videos that tell you become a full-time software engineer in 3 months. Of course, we might have someone who can achieve that. But for you to have that dollar in your pocket, like you do your projects, you do the learning, then you secure a job. It takes time. So keep on doing whatever you're doing. Do not give up. I know of many people gave up along the way, but you need to keep on keeping on. And even I think I was sharing with Marjan about LD Talent. When I first joined LD Talent, it was not easy. I did like 18 codility tests and I failed all of them. Like
18.
Yeah, you do the first one and then you're given like 2 months to revise and come back again. I fail. I do again, I fail. I do again, I fail. And at the end, I joined LD Talent. And even Game of Learners, I did the first Game of Learners. I think you know Game of Learners from Microsoft.
Yeah.
I did the first one and I actually failed. I didn't manage to go to the end. My team failed. We didn't get, we were not featured in the DevOps site where the projects are showcased. I failed, and then I tried again. At least I managed to finish, not first but last. Then last year again I tried, and at least we were invited at the ADC. It was nice. At least I think second runners up. So keep on doing it. Like, it's not easy. You might feel like it's not working, but everyone goes through that, and at the end of it all, your hard work will pay. So keep on doing what you're doing. And another thing I can advise some of these guys to do is we have tech events and communities. Join these communities. Like it's a platform for you to network with other guys and also to network with professionals, someone who has experience in the industry. Like, be willing to attend events. I always tell guys, like, just show up whenever you're invited, whether it's free or you're going to get paid, or whether there's no food. Just show up. Just listen to what these guys have to say. And I'm going to share this, but I won't expose the details or just mention who or what. But when you see something being posted on LinkedIn, someone needs you to contribute and stuff like that, do it. Like for me right now, I'm contributing towards a project with an organization, and I'm not being paid by anyone. Because I feel like contributing and gaining that knowledge and that extra language, and also ensuring I'm on the path of lifelong learning, it will at the end pay. So be willing to contribute, be willing to show up, be willing to keep on like doing whatever you're doing. And you will get your money at the end of it all. Doesn't matter how long it's going to take.
And no, not to step on any opinion that's been shared or even overtake it with any. I think those are some of the things that we would want young people listening to this podcast, or even just participating within the tech space, to try and understand. It's a long journey with a lot of corners. Some of them that are very, very helpful, some of them that are a bit discouraging. But all through that, I think is just to, again, as you've shared, be persistent. Also be transparent with your experiences. I think that's the other thing. The idea of quitting is always something that people feel or lie to themselves that it's empowering. But at the end of the day, you are releasing something. And once you remove it from your life, that might be an opportunity. That's missed, just like that. And depending on who takes it, you've seen people start from the mailroom all the way to the CEO's position. And their stories are usually very similar. I started from here. I had a lot of challenges. There are times where I was not even sleeping. I was not earning. But 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, I'm able to now say that I'm in charge of this entire entity. So I think if there was one thing people could be able to latch to, especially with this specific question, is just to be persistent, be very adaptable. Remember, job title is one thing. The tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis, that will change as many times as you could possibly imagine. And I think that's what would want to encourage people to just try and kind of focus on. Otherwise, thank you very much. This has been a very informative episode for us, for me specifically. again, it's always nice to talk to people who are within the technological space, and especially people who are doing it practically. I myself have taken a very long break from participating in those sorts of spaces, so I mainly concentrate on community interfacing and program work. But it's always nice to kind of engage with experts and just see where the landscape is at, and maybe some of the things that we can be able to come together and impact the community with. So thank you very much. Thanks again to the Grey Space Studio team for making this possible. And to our listeners, thank you for being patient with us. There are some very tough technological terms that are being used, but we'll provide a glossary somewhere on the YouTube context so that you can be able to do a little bit more research on some of the things that have been shared. Otherwise, for more content like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on social media. I'm hoping the Grey Space Studio team can be able to put them somewhere where people can be able to engage with. And see you next time. Peace.